All right, here we go. Good evening, everybody.
Hey, how's it going?
Hi. How is it going?
It is going good. I don't know where you're located at, but here it is pretty darn cold this evening.
It is freezing here. We're in Florida, and it's not supposed to be freezing in Florida, but we just found out that it might actually snow here on Sunday.
Oh, wow.
And if that happens, it will be the second year in a row that it snows. And if that happens, I'm just moving. I'm like, I'm gone. Like, I hate snow. I hate cold. I live in Florida for a reason. I'm like a reptile at heart. So like, why is this happening to me?
Yeah, I grew up in Michigan, and so we moved down to Florida and then halfway back to Tennessee. And I get it all 4 seasons here. I'm happy. But yeah, when it got cold in Florida, everything shuts down. Nobody's used to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So go ahead.
Tell us about yourself. Introduce yourself. Let everybody know who you are. And I'll tell y'all, she's amazing. I'll tell you that much.
I'm Staci with Midgard Morphs. We are small breeders out of Florida. I guess I just said that. We breed ball pythons. We do own a number of different species, but currently we're only breeding ball pythons. We started with ball pythons in, I think our first, the first one we purchased was in 2018, 2019, around then. And we've built our collection very, very slowly over time. And that's been a big thing for us, is like building your collection in a way that's maintainable for you. And it's been a big thing that we've kind of promoted as breeders, is like build it in a way that you don't have to get out of the hobby. Like, okay, yes, we want to be breeders, and we want to be able to maintain our lives at the same time, right?
You want to be sustainable.
Yeah, we want to be sustainable. And in doing that, it's been a very slow process for us. But like now within this last year, we've last 2.5 years, I would say, we've like finally moved into like more higher end projects. It's gotten to that point where like we're able to buy higher end animals, and we're able to go like, oh, you know, when we first started, I remember the time that we bought our first visual clown, and it was like insane. I was like, oh my gosh, we just bought a clown. This is insane. Like, we're rich. Like, I remember we opened up that box. Sorry, this is like a total side thing and probably irrelevant. And I have a little bit of ADHD. So if I go out on a tangent.
You fit in.
You fit in. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm like, just stop me if I do. But like, I remember the first time that we opened up the box when we had like bought our first visual clown. We opened up the box. It was a pastel clown, right? Opened up the box, and I was like, we are officially rich. We have made it in the world, right? And I talked about this snake a lot because it was a pastel clown that we paid like $900 for.
Yeah.
And I don't want to talk about how we paid $900 for a pastel clown, but but I did feel like we made it in the world at that time. And now, like, that is definitely not one of the snakes that we would purposely pick up at this point for our collection, right?
Right.
But it's been a big thing, like where we are now, that we try to promote to newer breeders as well, is like, pick up what you can for your collection now, build where you're at now, but also build smart. Don't make choices that are going to kind of screw you over long term. And when I'm saying that, like, me and my husband, we do a lot on social media just to begin with. Like, we have a whole other account on social media, right? And so when we moved over to posting about reptiles, like, we had a lot of people that followed us over there. So we're like, okay, if we're going to talk about reptiles on it, we should talk about some of the like harsh truths of breeding. Of like, okay, I get it. It's fun. It's exciting. And I don't want to discourage anyone from jumping into breeding, but by all means, and I know Ozark's down in the comments, and I love you, Ozark, please don't buy 200 ball pythons in your first year of all single gene pastels.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Well, that's a good race. What are you talking about?
I mean, you know, and it's like everyone's, and for all the breeders out there, they're like, no, please buy all my single gene pastels.
Right.
But it's been a theme. Like we do this breeders roundtable every week over on TikTok, right? And that's the thing that we try to talk about over there.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I'm really going off on a tangent of 50 different things. My husband's sitting over in the corner and he's rein it in. He's like,
no, you're totally good. Like I said, we're all with you, and we can all go in 100 different directions all the time. So,
yeah.
How many ball pythons do you have now?
Right now we have a total of 42, I believe.
Okay.
42 right now. Yeah. So we have 42 at this moment. And we don't have any babies in house right now. We have a couple girls that are getting ready to drop eggs, but no babies at this current moment. So we have 42 right now.
Nice.
So when you're talking about building slow, how do you compare that with how fast the market's going with the shed testing and everything? Like, how do you pick a project and kind of stay relevant to the market, you know, in terms of how slowly you want to build your collection? Because, you know, the market kind of says you got to go at this speed or what you're building isn't really going to be worth much. So how do you balance those two things?
So, and I'm going to try not to cuss while I'm saying this, because I was about to be like, say, you kind of have to build your own effing thing. But I think a big part of this comes down to building your own brand outside of the market. I do think you have to be your own person. You have to stand out outside of the market. Because if you're just trying to compete with the market and trying to play that rat race of the stock market of ball pythons, you're always going to be behind. Like, because one day it's up, the next day it's down, right? So if you're like, okay, today I'm chasing ultra suns, and today I'm chasing like ADCs, and okay, well, today I need to buy this project, today I need to buy that one. Oh, and now it's down because someone just hit the next big thing in it. You're always going to be behind. You're never going to win. No one ever wins at the stock market. They were pastel combos, not single gene. Okay. Sorry, Ozark. I love you, man. How are you gonna help me like that? but no, I feel like no matter what, you're always going to be behind if you jump into a rat race like that and you're not willing to build your own thing, right? It's going to be your own brand. And so figure out whatever that means for you. How are you going to stand out against everyone? Because, and sure, if you have the money to jump in fast, by all means do. You don't have to do it the way I'm saying. Like, ignore everything I'm saying, because if you've got the money to do it and it's not going to put your family in a bad place, do it faster. Like, but if you're coming in and you're like, okay, I've got $5,000 to start, and that's exactly how much money I have. And if I spend $1 more than that, I'm going to have to be out of ball pythons in a year. Don't spend $10,000, because then you're going to be out of ball pythons in a year, and you're going to be making a YouTube video talking about how the market's crashing. And like, and is it the market's fault, or did you overspend money that you couldn't afford to spend?
Right.
Like,
on your single gene pastels.
on your single gene pastels. But I think when you start building your own brand that's true to you, and you build your own customer base around that brand, I think it goes a long way. Right. And then you're not chasing the market. right? When you're not worried about what the market's doing, you're worried about what you're doing. Like, a big focus for us has become on how do we make an animal that we're not caring about whether or not it's going to a breeder or pet home, right? We've been talking a lot about why are we like insulting pet owners all the time and pretending that they can only afford $200 animals. Most of our buyers are pet owners, and for us, our entire collection is switched over to frozen thawed right away. Like, we switch our babies to frozen the second feeding, right? So it's a pretty consistent thing. In fact, if a breeder contacts us to buy a snake, we do ask them, like, hey, are you going to feed live? Because then we'll go and we'll make sure the snake will eat live for a breeder. Because if it's a breeder buying a snake, we'll make sure it'll eat live before we'll ship it off to a breeder. Just
are you like breeding your own rodents then and then freezing?
No, truthfully, we work fully for ourselves. We're super busy. We have a couple different businesses. We buy the rats. We looked at what it was worth. Yes. Are rats expensive? 100%. We looked at what our time was worth. Our time was worth more money. We could make more money running the other businesses than we could on saving money with the.
Yeah, that's a good point. I do both just for the same fact that, I want to sell to pet keepers as well as breeders. So I alternate. And it was a little rough at first, but everybody's pretty much, they look forward to every other Fuzzy Friend Friday when I feed live, but they still eat on the frozen thawed Fridays. So that helps me manage my time because I'm not solely dependent on the live ASFs. I've got the frozen thawed. So, I don't have to have as many colonies as I would normally, because it's way more time than the snakes. You're in there every day with the ASFs. So,
yeah. And people always assume like we choose to switch them over to frozen because it makes it easier for us to sell them to a higher end pet market. Right. People always assume because we do it that we have this huge opposition to feeding the animals live. We don't. Like, we're breeders. If the animal it's just our model of feeding. Like, this is what works best for us. Anytime I post a video of like how we feed, it turns into a huge debate in the comment section. I'm like, y'all, I'm not telling you how to feed your snakes. Feed them. Just feed the animals. Just feed the damn animals.
Yeah, just feed them.
Yeah. That was one of my questions for you. Whenever you do start getting negative comments and stuff, how do you handle it?
So we go on always go positive with negative comments. I know you've been in some of the lives where people come in and we like to treat like people come in and we treat it like people showing up and picketing in lives where they come in and they're like, breeders are horrible. Why would you ever breed? Like, they're like dropping comments of how horrible breeders are and how dare you breed ball pythons, these kind of things, and our rule of thumb is always to go, you are absolutely welcome to be here. And please go ahead and drop those comments. That is just fine. We're huge believers, freedom of speech, say whatever you want. The internet is a free platform. We're probably not going to respond because it's not a useful conversation to have here. But I'm glad that you have a very strong opinion on it and you're welcome to share it. Like, that's kind of how we go with it. Like,
so you're a little bit nicer person than I am.
So the reason that I go that way, and a lot of my friends will argue with them. A lot of my friends will argue the point. the reason that I do that I just go like, you're welcome to share that, and I'm not going to argue with you, is I'm never going to sell a snake to that person. They're not my customer. I'm never in 100 years going to sell a snake to them. I'm never going to sell a snake to their friends. I'm never going to sell a snake to anyone that's going to listen to them.
And
so
I
I'm
think
not going
that's
to waste my breath talking to them.
That's a big reason why I really don't go live on TikTok, because you're dealing with people who don't know. If they want to learn, I would love to teach them, but you get people on there that's negative, and I'm a little too hot-headed for that. And like, I don't have that. You have really good energy. You're in there. You're just, your hair color matches your energy, right? So, and me, I'm just like sitting there going, oh gosh, what do y'all want now? So
I will tell you, we've been doing TikTok in one form or another since 2021. Did we start on TikTok in 2021 on the other account? Well, not on my original account. I'm looking over at my husband. 2020, 2021. I have lost accounts. So I can tell you that I was not that calm originally with people. That was a learned skill.
Yeah,
that was definitely a learned skill over time of learning to respond rather than just react to people.
Great. And what's your husband's name? He's over there hiding.
Tom. Yeah.
Tom, why aren't you over here with Staci?
He's over there because our son just went to bed, and our son is very angry that he just went to bed. And so he's been sneaking down the hallway every few minutes. And so he's trying to keep him over there. We try, we used to every once in a while let him come onto camera, but we're really moving towards the not showing him on the internet at all.
Right.
So we're really trying to keep him from coming on camera.
Absolutely, that's why.
So,
yep, I agree. My kids aren't on the internet at all.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
but boys are fun. They like to keep you on your toes. I have 3 boys.
Mm-hmm.
So you said you started everything out you started out with a pastel clown and thought you hit it all big and it was amazing. And those are beautiful. I do love pastel clowns. Some people have an issue with the heads, but so where are you at now? Like you've said, you've progressed your collection and getting into more higher end stuff. What are you working? What's your projects?
Yeah, what's your strategy?
So we just jumped into the Ultramel Sunset project. We picked up Ultramel Het Sunset from Nixon this season, and we picked up a double het girl from Bob. And we looked at a couple different animals to bring into that project, but those were the ones we decided to bring in strictly because, like, price point, they were the most reasonable price wise, and with shed testing, we could definitely the male for us really fit our collection well because we have a ton of Ultramel in our collection. Like I've gotten really, really into Ultramel. So we're working like a lot of Ultramel Krypton. We've worked a lot of different incomplete DOMs into our Ultramel project. Worked really heavy in the Ultramel Clown project. We did just get shed test results back on one of our original Ultramel Clown male, and he came back for red stripe. We are I'm excited about that, but we are looking further into that.
Okay.
He was originally purchased from Canova. I have sent pictures of him and all of the babies we've produced from him, like all of the lineage, off to Justin to get some second opinions. Like we have the shed test results, and we're getting second opinions from Justin based on all of the babies. And we'll shed test any of the babies that we've held back just to find out as well. Cause we've got some generations there, and we're on a 50-50. Like, yeah, we've noticed something was kind of different with these babies, but yeah.
Red stripe sometimes is hard to spot for sure.
Yeah. And so it's just one that we're being, I'm real excited about it. And I put out a
Right.
video of how excited I am because I kept telling people that there was something different with this snake. And I still stand that there's something different with the snake. But before we like stand by that any of the babies have red stripe in them, we want to
Be for
we
sure.
want to
Yeah, absolutely.
be for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
I think that's smart.
yeah, so we've got we've worked a lot of incomplete DOMs into there. We really love the Ultramel Kryptons.
I love Kryptons and Cryptics. I just got it. Me
Mhm.
a Cryptic boy. I'll be spreading throughout the collection this year.
Yeah.
And Cryptics. That's my new heart right now. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah, I like the
I mean,
Kryptons. They're pretty sweet.
I love them. And I think the Ultrasuns, like, I was not, I'll tell you all day long, anyone that knows me in the comments too, like, I was not a Sunset fan at all. I hated Sunset. Like, I was like, I don't want to look at a brown snake. I'm big on the, like, I want to look at a snake and I want it to look pretty.
Right.
Like, I want to, anything I look at, I want it to look pretty as an adult. That's where I'm at this point in my collection. That's one of the things that I love about Ultramel. Like, I want to open it up. I want to look at it as an adult and be like, you look pretty as a baby and you look pretty now. Right. And then I had stuck with that with Sunset. I was like, yeah, they're pretty as babies, but whatever. I'm not getting into anything with Sunset. And then freaking Courtney, I was standing by this, right? And freaking Courtney, she's like, she messages me a picture of an adult Ultrasun, right? Like an adult Ultrasun next to a baby one. And who was it that produced that one? Was it Dragonborn? I want to say it was.
I haven't followed Sunset that much because I'm still in your first phase of thinking where I just turns into a brown snake.
I'll have to send you the same picture because it ruined my life, right? It was Dragonborn Ozark. Okay, yeah. So it ruined my life because she sends me this picture, and it's beautiful, and
you fell
from
in
that
love.
point, and I fell in love, and I was like, I have to have it now, and I need to be in this project.
Isn't she?
Like, I'm like, and then I was gonna buy one from her, but the male that they produced, like after shed testing came back, the male that they had didn't have the Sunset in it because I knew that I wanted a visual Ultramel Het Sunset. I knew that I wasn't gonna buy the double visual. Like the double visual wasn't in the price point I was spending this year. I was like, I love that. I'd love to get the double visual. I'm not spending the money for the double visual. Like, I'm going to be realistic with myself. You know, the wallet still hurts. That's my husband, by the way. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I have some Het Sunset in my projects. Those were some of the first snakes I bought. And I didn't buy them necessarily because I like Sunset, but I knew that it was popular. And if I made some visuals, then I could sell them and reinvest that into my other stuff. So that's still going.
What I like about it is like right now, like, sure, right now it's a breeder project, right? Like it's breeder market, breeder prices, all of those things. And I still say for the right pet owner, it's pet owner prices too, for the right pet owner, right? Someone that has that level of money. But long term, oh, the gecko cage just turned off. These cages are probably going to turn off in a minute then too. So it's going to get dark behind me here in a second. But long term, I think that project is going to be beautiful pet owner or pet animals once. So I like projects that are, okay, yeah, they're breeder right now and they'll probably stay breeder for a long time. But if you're in them, when they stop being like high end breeder projects, they're still going to flow over into a pet market really nicely because they're just pretty animals. That matters to me. Like, and so if they're animals that they're pretty as babies, they're pretty as adults, I'm like, that's going to flow over into a pet market.
Oh yeah.
Great. And like, sure, right now they're expensive, but I mean, if you look at it long term, it's a double visual. Over time, that's not going to be expensive for forever.
Absolutely.
Like,
And so you had touched on sustainability a little bit before, by you were talking about essentially growing slow and not letting the purchases outpace your power to purchase. What do you guys do as far as keeping your business sustainable outside of keeping it small? I mean, that I think is a big factor in sustainability in this market. But besides that, what do you guys do, like financially, as much as you're comfortable with discussing? You know, how do you cut costs? How do you invest, in specific things?
So for us, as far as like choosing investments at this point, we're looking for, when we're choosing males, we want to make sure it's a male that can go with multiple females, right? So our biggest investments are into males, right? Like that's where we're going to spend the most chunk of money, is into a good male. Like that's our personal choice, because we've got a good collection of females, and then we prefer produce our females, buy our males. Now, is that to say that we won't buy a female if it makes sense? No, like we really did consider, we went back and forth a lot on purchasing a sunset head ultramel. I think was it from Morphforge that had the sunset head ultramel? We went back and forth like really heavy on purchasing a female from him. Like that was one that we like looked at 2 separate shows, went back and forth, like stepped over into the corner, argued back and forth on whether or not that made sense financially. So that was a female we almost bought this year, right? And I still think she would have been a good purchase for us because she had some good size on her. I felt like she could have grown up and she would have got us to where we wanted to be faster. But Tom also was like, but putting brakes on it, he's also big on, like, he will be faster to put the brakes on than I will. He's a little more responsible than I am on that level. So that's one of the things. Will we spend some big money on snakes when we think it makes sense? Absolutely. Because I think you do have to invest in yourself if you can afford to. Because you do have to keep your business moving forward still. Like if you never spend any money, then you're stagnant. Like, okay, sure, you bought those 2 clowns back in 1999 or whatever. I'm saying clowns, 2 snakes back in 1999, and you bred some babies. But like at some point, you got to buy some new snakes, Right.
Yeah.
But as long as you can still eat and live indoors, like for us, we use business funds, like, and we will allow one business to fund the other. Like, so if I'm an artist, right? So if we have a very good art sale, so if I sell a very large painting and we can then turn around and turn that money into purchasing a snake, then we will. Like when we bought that male from Nixon, I had been messaging him. I was like, hey, I want this snake. Don't officially put it on hold, but I know I want it. We're going to an art show this weekend. So just keep me in mind. Right. I'll let you know in 3 days. And 3 days later, I messaged him. I was like, where do you want the money? So right. We do try to be, that's been
Mr. Bosa.
That's been kind of the big thing for us, is like, if we are making money with one business, can we then move it into another business to help that business grow?
Now, do you have
That's
those
not.
as separate entities, or do you have everything as one entity together, or how do you structure that legally?
We actually structure them together. So all of
Okay.
them, even our snake business, are all under the art business. So
Okay.
they're all. It's all. We have them all as DBAs, so that we can file the taxes all together. And for us, that has worked best over the years, because then we can everything. If we're spending money on one, we can write everything. Yeah. That's what's worked best for us tax wise, is having DBAs for it.
Yeah.
I could go into a long thing with that, but
No,
that's
fine.
boring, I feel like.
Well, that's how we're structuring it over here. My wife's getting into plants, so she found Palm Street. I didn't tell her about it. She found it all on her own.
Every time he talks about it, he says that I did not tell her about it, but she found it all on her own.
And now she's talking about all of these different cultivars and species names and everything. And I've got 6 or 7 greenhouses in the house right now. So yeah, so we're going full tilt in that. So that's what we're looking at too, is business structures for all that stuff. So
Yeah,
they don't eat frozen or live, by the way.
they don't eat frozen or
Yeah,
live. The plants don't. Wow.
Some of them might, orchids like ice. So, you may want to ask your wife before you speak. You got to put ice on the orchids.
Well, I found out there's a pitcher plant that's like, you could feed it a large rat. It's humongous.
That does eat live. Yeah. Bugs.
Yeah.
Usually.
That's my gold plant.
I am sadly allergic to like anything that is living and green. Like you'll see plants back here; those are all fake. Anything in our enclosures are fake. I'm allergic to all plants and like anything with fur. So It's like the saddest thing in the world. That's why we have reptiles.
So what do you keep because you said you have other species that you keep and you only breed ball pythons. What do you keep?
We have 2 blue tongue skinks. So 2 of them are behind me here. We have 2 blue tongue skinks. We have a crested gecko that was given to me at one of the shows. One of our friends walked by me and he's like, "Hey, this is a pixel crested gecko. I no longer want it. It is now yours."
Oh, okay.
And he's a spaz. Don't open his cage. We have 2 BCCs. We do plan to breed those.
Okay.
Our girl is coming 7. Huh?
Ooh.
Tom just said something over here. I can't hear what he's saying. But yeah, so she's coming 7 years old. And so we will breed them eventually, maybe, if I get to that point. So we have 2 BCCs, 2 BCIs. We do have a hedgehog. He's mean.
Oh, wow.
He's very mean. And chickens. And is that all we have right now? I think that's everything. And children.
And children.
The children are the meanest.
Of course.
Right. And they bite.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have a 5-year-old, and then we have biologically my husband's, but my ethically sourced and or a captive born and bred but not self-produced daughter who's 21.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look at through my questions here.
So you, I had watched some of your videos. It looked like you had your ball pythons in some large boa tubs, or were those just your boas?
Nope, those are our ball pythons. We keep our adults in the ARS 80s.
And what made you decide to do that versus just going with the standard that everybody else uses?
We decided to do that. That was a move we did just last year. It was part of, we decided to do that as one of those moves that we've been really marketing to like a higher end pet market, which has worked well for us. Like I said, while we will absolutely sell to breeders, and that is also part of our market, we do want to also be able to sell to those pet buyers who want to spend $1,000 on an animal,
Right.
who want to buy an animal that comes to them on frozen, that comes to them ready to live in a 4x2x2, you know, that
And
they're going to have.
because it's probably the same type of people that you're meeting at your art shows. And so it's your clientele is mixing very well with your whole overall brand. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So in order to do that, we knew that we'd have to set up our snakes a little bit differently. I will say, we moved all of our girls into those ARS 80s last year, and it screwed our season.
Yeah.
It was because and hindsight 2020, we should have known this. We should have known better. We got them. We got excited. All of our girls were building. We set them all up beautifully, and we just took our girls and we moved them into their beautiful new home.
Oh no.
And guess what all of our girls did last year?
Freaked out.
All but 2 of them reabsorbed. We only had 2 girls go last year.
Yep, me too. I moved
great.
all of my snakes from downstairs, and because we didn't do what you said. And we got I had 40, was doing good, and then I had a chance to get a small collection. But then I moved the girls that I had upstairs and put the small collection quarantine downstairs. And so because I moved them, nobody. I had 2 clutches last year. But that means this year we're gonna have good number of eggs. So
yeah.
Hopefully the same for you too. You'll have good production. Yeah.
That's what I think is happening, because now all of our girls are growing. Everything's great. They're well established in their homes. But like, as soon as it started happening, I was like, I realized what we had done, and I was like, now I can't undo it. I'm like, like me and Tom were just sitting here. I'm like, we did this to ourselves. This was a life choice. But I'm like, we're already here. And like some of these girls, we knew we're like, it's their time to be laying. So we knew it was their time in the year. And we're like, well,
hindsight being what it is, move them after they lay. But yeah, that's you learn sometimes lessons are hard.
Yeah. Like we're doing a build out in the garage right now. And like we've been talking about that, and we're like, okay, how are we going to start moving the snakes out there? And we're like, okay, it's going to be 1 snake at a time. As a girl lays, when she lays the eggs, we'll pull her from there, and she'll lay in this room, and then she'll be moved in there, and it'll be 1 snake at a time. And as a male finishes breeding for the season, then he can go in there. We're like, we're like so paranoid about moving any of the snakes now. Like that's how bad the year was.
Wow.
We were on a live the other day, or I was on a live the other day, and someone was like, oh, you're doing ball pythons full time. It's like your full-time income and all this stuff. And I was like, y'all, if ball pythons was the only way I was making any money, last year we wouldn't have eaten. Like, I'm like, nothing went. I'm like, we messed up. Bye, Ozark. I see his comment. Ozark's got a live show going on tonight too. So, but yeah, like that was a big mess up on our part. I need to make a whole video on that. That needs to be like a whole like PSA. Don't do what I did.
Yeah. So are they any changes to the ball pythons after they've been in the larger tubs? Like, do you see any behavior differences? Do they eat any better? Have there been any benefits at all just from the husbandry standpoint?
So we have seen our girls be a lot more active. So they have been, I mean, they've slammed food in there since they got established in there. We have seen some that did not do well in there. And most have done great. Some have not. Like there's been some very big truth to like, there have been a few snakes that we did move back down to smaller tubs. They just did not do well there. They'd been in smaller tubs their whole life. It wasn't for them. And if it wasn't for them, we moved them back down. Like if they got in there, they went off food and they just did not get back on it. And we moved them back down and they went right back on food. Like,
Yeah.
you got to listen to the snake, right? But we have them set up with multiple hides in there. We have like fake plants in there, sticks, like all kinds of stuff. As far as breeding goes, the one thing that we have noticed, and it's the same thing this year, like for the 2 that went last year, and it's the same thing this year, we're not seeing bull wrapping with the girls in those tubs. They're just not bull wrapping. So like the behavior that we're used to seeing, we're not seeing that with the girls. Like they're just not acting that way. Like they'll move to the cool side and stuff, but they're actually just more active. They're moving all over. The tub is kind of more what we're seeing. And there goes my lights. I knew they'd go off at some point. I was like, it's got to be close to time for them to go to bed. So that's one of the things that we've kind of noticed is we're just not seeing the bull wrapping. And it does still have that giant bull. Like they could. The option is there. And maybe we'll see it in some of them. But thus far, have you seen any of them bull wrap? No, I haven't either. Like we've been looking for it. I was like, why are none of you? Like we've got some of them, like we have an ultrasound. And I was like, I'm like, you're about to go. Like, why have you not been bull wrapping at all? Like you're laying over on your side. Why aren't you?
Well, maybe the bigger tubs have a larger, cooler area that they don't necessarily need to bull wrap anymore.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking, is that it's just got enough space that they don't need that behavior. So, so we've seen them more active in that way. They do use the hides for sure. Negative thing though, once they get, and maybe anyone that's using hides in any of their tubs does the same thing. Once they get close to laying, we have to pull the hides because I swear, like they lose any bit of brain cell that they could have ever had. And as soon as they're like, okay, it's about time to drop eggs, they climb up on top of the hide and get their butts stuck up there. And I'm like, you're going to lay your eggs right here. Does this seem like a good idea to you? I'm like, what were we thinking, girl? So we have taken to, whenever they get close, those hides just come right out. Like we're not like, nope, we're not playing this game.
All right, that's interesting because I asked that question because I just came across a Reptiles and Research post where he was citing some research on ball python behavior. And the research was suggesting pretty strongly that ball pythons were actually more communal than what anyone had expected. And what the research, I didn't go in and read the paper or anything yet, but what he talked about, in his synopsis of the paper was that they had, 12 ball pythons, say. They put them in a large enclosure. Each one there were 12 hides in the enclosure. And all the ball pythons congregated in one hide. So they removed that hide and they all moved to another hide together. They removed that. And it's like, no jockeying for temperature, for hot spots or anything like that. And the guy that did the research, whatever PhD was, is the same guy that had done a lot of research on the communal behaviors of garter snakes, which is everybody pretty much knows that garter snakes like to hang out with their buddies. And so I thought that was really interesting. And I was just wondering if anybody else had observed anything like that. I mean, you had them in bigger enclosures, so I didn't know if you were putting more than one in there or anything like that. I know from a biosecurity standpoint, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but it was interesting.
Never attempted it. We have never attempted it or gone down that road of like studying anything like that. I'd be interested to see more research. I read the study as well and looked into that. I know he had done it with younger ball pythons. I'd be interested to see someone studying it with like actually watching them through the years and watching older ball pythons as well and seeing how they react to that. I think what we've seen, at least in with keepers doing it, is we've seen a lot of stress with that, right? And like, this is my personal take on it, is like, because they're so much bigger than garter snakes, like, even if the research supports that they could do well in groups, I think as humans, in general, humans are going to act like humans. And if we tell people that ball pythons can live together in groups, then people are going to take 4 ball pythons and put them in a 40-gallon. Because people already put 2 or 3 ball pythons into a 40-gallon when we tell them that they can't live together. So I feel like if we start, like if the research starts supporting that they do well together, if they do well together in groups, then we run the risk of people swinging way too far with that, where they might say really like put them in an 8-foot for two ball pythons, and people will go, oh, that's fine, so a 40-gallon for 4 of them.
Maybe we keep quiet on that one, even if the research says they like to hang out with each other, just for that fact alone. That's a good point.
Like, and they, it might be with enough space. Like you see in some of the stuff you've seen in the wild that some of them are separated. Sometimes you see them in similar areas, but I don't know. I'd be interested to read it, but I'm hesitant to see what that research would do if it got too popular and got pushed out in the wrong way.
Yeah, no, I think there's a big chance of that because, even from a monetary standpoint, if you can put more ball pythons in the same space, you're, essentially saving money, or you don't have to buy as big of an enclosure. I mean, I know how, people think when it comes to this stuff sometimes. So yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. And like we moved our adults into the 80s, but I also think they do just fine in the 70s as well. Like we have adults in the 70s. Not all of our adults do well in the 80s. We actually tried a hatchling. We ran a test of a hatchling in the 80s just to see how she did. We did 2 hatchlings, siblings in the 80s just to see how they would do, like as a test. One thrived. Like it was the weirdest thing. Like we thought for sure that the hatchlings would not do well. We 100% planned on like, we are going to have to pull these within a week, right? One of them, it did not matter. Like we decked out the tub, right? So like we did exactly what we would tell someone to do in a 4x2. One of them, it did not matter. We started pulling stuff out of that tub. We could have put her in there empty. That snake ate everything. We still have her. She slams food. She's like less than a year old, and I think she's over 1,000 grams at less than a year old. She eats everything. That snake's amazing. Like she won't stop eating. But then her brother, like, immediately just stopped eating in there. So we had to move him back into a hatchling rack pretty much immediately, which was what we expected from both of them. But we did. Huh?
Introverts and extroverts.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, the brother now also slams food. Like he's a great eater now. He just needed the slower move up. He does great just in the smaller size,
Right.
He just did not take to being in a giant room. So we did run some tests on that size tubs just to see how they did. Because we're like, okay, if we're going to be sending out hatchlings to pet owners who want them to go into these 4x2s, we need to know how they'll do. Right. And so that's been a thing of like.
Yeah, so what do you tell pet keepers, as far as the transition from tubs to a larger enclosure? What's the advice you give your customers?
So we always recommend that they actually put a tub inside the enclosure. We recommend that they set them up exactly like how our hatchling tubs look like, and we put that hatchling tub inside the enclosure, and then put a hole or leave the lid like slightly tilted off so that they can choose to come out of it. And we're like, put a water dish in there, put a hide. We'll send them a picture of what their hatchling tub looks like. We're like, this is what the inside of their tub looks like. So you can set it up exactly like this This is what they are used to living in. Feed them in there, let them stay in there for as long as they want. Set up their beautiful, lovely enclosure how you want it to be.
Yeah.
And accept that they're going to live in their tub for a while. And when they want to come out, they will. And maybe they'll come out for a little bit and then want to go back in their tub. And maybe they'll stay in their tub for a few months. That's okay. It's not about you, it's about them.
Right.
And most of them transition over just fine, you know, as long as the people are patient. I find that as the only time that they don't do well is when people are not patient. When people are like, oh, I'm just going to throw them right in there. Then I'm like, you might as well just mail the snake back to me. Like, if you're not going to, like, because if you tell me you're putting it in like a 6x2 today and you haven't put anything in there,
right,
I'm going to tell you it's probably not going to eat. Unless you're really lucky. Every once in a while, people
what kind of
get real
feedback
lucky,
do you get
though.
from your customers on that transition? Are most of them happy and seems to work? I mean, I know that that's the way you do it, but I'm just curious about the feedback.
Actually, great. Most of my customers, I get messages all the time. So most of my customers are in contact with me. And I get messages like of people sending me pictures of like their sheds as their snakes are growing. So that's the kind of the customer base that I have, that they are so obsessed with their animals, like that they're keeping their snake shed. They'll tape it up on their wall. They have like charts of their snake's growth. You know, they'll send me upgrades of their enclosures, because some of them they will buy. They're like, okay, I've started out with a 40 gallon. They have grown some now. I'm getting them a 4x2. Okay, now I actually want to get them a 6x2. So I've got some that have ball pythons in 6x2s, you know, because that's what they want. And they're doing great, you know, and it's really cool to see like that transition of how they've been keeping them, which is where I've been saying, like, I think this ignoring that level of the pet market is kind of a bad move, because those buyers do exist and they love their animals.
Yeah.
You know, and yes, are they going to want are they going to want the animal to come to them on frozen? 100%.
Right.
But they're going to pay you an extra couple $100 for that animal to come to them on frozen. And as breeders, we know how to switch them over to frozen. Like, it's easier for us to do it than it is for a pet owner to do it, I think.
Right.
So, like, if they're going to pay me to switch that animal over to frozen, then I'm going to do it. Like, for example, and I'm very, very public on this. Our normals start at $150. That's what we price our normals at. And our argument on that is that PetSmart prices their normals at $50 to $75, right? From a breeder, we produce better animals than PetSmart. Hands down, I stand by, our animals are better than PetSmart.
Right.
They are getting a better experience through us than they get through PetSmart.
Well, your inputs are a lot higher too. I mean, because you're focusing on the individual snake versus, you know, what do you want to call it, a bulk shipment of snakes, so to speak. I mean, that's really what it, you know, how they buy them in bulk, right?
Yeah. I mean, like, I know PetSmart's just ordering, I think they ordered through Reptiles by Mac, right? In bulk. And so they're not like, sure, you can say a snake's a snake all day long, but that certainly the buyer experience is different through a breeder. And you could say a normal's a normal, but is it? I think that you can get different qualities of a normal ball python. You can get a healthier normal ball python. You can get one that's socialized. You can get one that's eating well. You can get all of those things. And I think as a breeder, I think at least most breeders that I know are producing better snakes than PetSmart.
Right.
And so I won't price our snakes at a PetSmart price.
Well, they're paying for your investment too, right?
Yeah.
So you're investing a lot more per snake than PetSmart is. I mean, you can go to PetSmart and you can see 5 ball pythons, in a 40-gallon aquarium for sale. So,
Now, that being said, I don't even think this year we have any chance of hitting normals. Like, we don't strive to have normals be produced. I don't think anyone's striving to produce normals, right? But if we do, that's our rule. We're like, if we do produce a normal, it's going to cost $150. And we tell people that. And we are also very open with people, like, you can probably go to another breeder and get it for free, realistically. So if you do want to do that, if it's all about cost, you can probably get it from someone else for free.
right.
Like, which is,
No, it makes sense. I mean, you're taking care of the animals. So, I guess I would rather pay $150 for a well-started snake that's really healthy versus $50 for one that's been maintenance fed and just left in a tub until somebody buys it.
yeah, like, that's for us, it's worked well that way. And
Yeah.
we haven't had an issue with those snakes moving either.
And where
Could
do you
that change
find
in
your biggest customer base? Is it on
Online.
TikTok or?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. The snake market is actually there's quite a big snake market on TikTok that I think the people from YouTube have actually started to notice that, because we've been seeing more people come over, right? But people are selling snakes directly on TikTok. Like, they're getting on lives and talking about their snakes, and then people will contact you directly, right? Like,
Okay.
some people will go over to our morph market, but most people are just messaging me and being like, "Hey, that snake, can I message you? Can I call you? Can I text you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely. Like let's talk about it. Like, if you want to," because you can't sell on TikTok, right? You can't sell directly on TikTok. Of course, it's social media. Everyone knows selling animals directly on social media doesn't ever knows, other than like what Palm Straight, social media doesn't allow you to do that.
Right.
But a ton of people are. A lot of people are.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I got you. Holly, what the heck happened to you? You look terrible.
Yeah, I looked over and I was like, Holly
That
like
is
morphed
not
into a whole new person. I wasn't gonna say anything. I was like, it's fine. I'm like, no judgment.
I was going to take you out of the studio, but then Rafi showed up, and then I was having a hard time to pick out.
Flu. No, when
That's
I
all with the flu?
apparently I cannot get a break. I thought I was early and I was 45 minutes late, so there's that.
Well, I'm surprised you're here. You've got quite a schedule coming up here, Rafi. He's traveling for work, so it's chaotic for him.
No, I'm having company event, the World Congress for my company, like meetings with people out of town. I have to actually, after the live, I have to, and I apologize, I have to leave to meet people that are out of town, that are from out of town. So,
Gotcha.
but just a little input on my side, as if you guys don't mind, as on the cohab as a breeder. As far as the doe goes, what I notice is the female gets very dominant. If, let's say that you have a pair in there, right? You're cohabbing a pair, they do fine. When they mature, when the male, let's say that they copulated, or if they did not copulate because she didn't want to or he didn't want to, she tends to press him down. She puts all her weight on top of him and press him down to kind of establish dominance. even if they copulated afterwards, she's gonna stay on top of him and press him down on the tub, like saying enough. Of course, a tub, he doesn't have time to escape, but he's still gonna be trying, even if it's an enclosure, he's gonna be trying to do his deed. So that will put a lot of stress on the male, wear him off even. So I understand on hatchlings or maybe 2 females. When you're talking about a pair, I have my doubts on it. And boas go the same way. I wouldn't cohab on that instance. Never had males put together unless by mistake. But that's my view on the breeding side. And if you have a pair, and that's gonna, even if she doesn't, it's gonna wear off that male. Like eventually, even boas that you keep them for a long time during the breeding season, eventually you take the male off because you have to feed and they're on that breeding mode. It's kind of, even being a big enclosure is kind of it's still an enclosed environment. Like they can't leave. Like they are bound to that space, even if it's a 6 or 8 foot long enclosure. So I have some doubts on that. When you're in a confined environment, if you had a room, maybe. When you have a confined environment, I have my doubts.
Yeah.
And of course, I tell people all the time. They say, "Oh, they love tubs." I have ball python in a 4x2x2, and she loves to roam around. And I have perches I showed. I have videos, like was my previous green tree python enclosure. So I have the fake vines. She's always on top of the vines. She hangs in there during the night. So they love space. This is practicality. It's not. It's a guarantee that you're gonna have space and that they're gonna breed. But as far as space, I'm pro enclosures 100%. If I had space, I would have all of them in enclosures. So it's not. I'm not gonna be a hypocrite saying, no, this is what they love. This. Who would love to be in a tub for their entire life? Let's be honest. I think they do well. They're healthy. I treat them well. I clean. I'm always giving fresh water and on top of cleaning. But I have my boas all in enclosures. I don't have any boa in tubs because they move more, and I feel the need for enclosures for them. That's why I don't have a lot of boas. So.
No, that's good perspective. I'm kind of going the same way. I have a couple racks, but I'm going to be moving most of my snakes into enclosures when I get into the new snake room. So, yeah,
that's where that's where I'm at too. It's like I think racks serve their purpose. That's what I believe. Is like I don't think racks are a problem. We absolutely use racks. Racks have a purpose. In a breeding setup, racks allow us to keep the multiple animals, to assure they're healthy, to assure they're clean, fed, watered, in a timely, efficient manner, right? And they allow us to make sure the humidity is right and make sure all of the parameters are right for the animals. And so when people ask me about that, and like, they're like, oh, but you have these big enclosures for all your other animals and all of this stuff. And I'm like, yes, all of our pets are in big setup enclosures. Our boas, like, I'm not going to try and turn the camera because I'll probably mess everything up. We have a whole wall of enclosures over here on this other side of the room. We've got enclosures over in front of me over here, right? I'm surrounded by enclosures in this room, right? But all of these animals are pets in this room.
right.
They're not in racks. There are pets. They live here forever. Our breeders are absolutely kept in racks. And yes, we use the 80s for our adults. And I'm glad that we made that switch. I don't think it's the right move for every single breeder out there. And I don't think every single ball python breeder is going to switch to ARS 80s. They're not, they're huge. They're literally double the size of the 70s. That's, for most people, that's not going to fit. It's not the most efficient way. And as we found out, it meant that we lost a whole year of breeding and getting the females established. So for a lot of people, they'd lose a lot of money doing that. But I also think that, like, we can both say that, like, while I think enclosures are the best option for long-term keeping, I also think racks are the best option for breeding. Like, both can be true.
Just like you have horses in stables, you don't have horses roaming around if you have a breeding facility. Even if you don't have a breeding facility, like you can just like leave horses roaming around to properly keep for them. Like, you can't keep an eye on an animal if it's just loose. And once you realize it has an injury or something, it might be too late. Go ahead, Staci.
Yeah. I used to work with horses, and so it absolutely the same thing. Like, yes, we had horses that were out roaming the pasture, right? Those were not our competition horses. My horse that I was taking to shows every weekend that I was competing in, she lived in a stall that got cleaned daily, that we paid someone because she was kept in the very, very fancy barn where it was a box stall, and she was brought out and she had pasture time and all of those things, and then was put back into the stall where she was padded up and taken care of and, you know, kept under lock and key at all times. And then my horse that was just a fun little trail riding horse lived out in the pasture and could go and had cover and could go undercover, and, like, was the one that was out in pasture probably having more fun on a daily basis? For sure. But it wasn't the competition horse. It had a different purpose in life.
And you have things that you cannot control. Like, they can hurt themselves. They can get, like, in barbed wire. The fur is not going to be upkeep because you have to be, like, brushing and removing the layers of coat that they have so they look nice. So I believe in working whatever works for you. It's fine. I mean, if you want to have ball pythons in all enclosures, fine. It's going to work. If you want to have it in tubs, have it in tubs. As long as you're doing the upkeep and the animals are healthy and they're well taken care of, I'm all in for anything that works for you.
Yeah.
Take care of your animals, feed your animals, make sure your animals are clean and healthy. Like, at the end of the day, like, why is everyone judging each other? Why is everyone being keyboard warriors out here fighting with each other? Like, that's the thing I think we see too often in this hobby. And I could get on a whole tangent on this of, like, how everyone gets in all over the internet fighting with each other, trying to prove each other right or wrong. And there's 500 million different ways that we can be keeping these animals and taking care of these animals. And if we're working with them for different purposes, that we're going to be taking care of them in different ways. As long as we're taking care of them, as long as we're keeping them healthy, that is the priority, right? Making sure they're healthy, making sure they're cared for.
And
first priority.
And a lot of times we forget that there is no formula. Every animal is different. Believe it or not, guys, I have one clown pied female that is allergic to bedding. Every time she's allergic to bedding. I try cypress mulch. I try cocoa. And the only thing that works for her is paper towels.
I think she's just allergic to you. You can send her to my house.
Hi guys.
And she's an adult female, and she gets like red, like her skin gets like bumps.
Oh, poor thing.
And it's the only one that I ever had that. And I thought that at the beginning, I thought it was probably a bacteria infection, a yeast infection. I tried everything that I treated with antibiotics. I use chlorhexidine, and nothing works. As I put her in paper towel, First shed gone.
Oh wow.
Put her back on the substrate. Boom. And fresh new substrate. Boom. Same thing. And I was like, well, there's only one common denominator.
Yeah.
So
That's freaking
whatever,
wild.
you don't have a formula for, oh, you have to keep animals like this. Every animal is going to be different. Some animals like larger tubs. Some animals like smaller tubs.
Yeah.
Some animals, even with the smaller tubs, they need a hide. Some animals prefer a larger tub with a hide. So if you come to my facility and you start opening the drawers, all animals are going to be different. Like even the hatchlings, some you have to start with hides, even though you have the mini series that are very small tub. Some feel more comfortable in larger tubs with a hide, because if you move to a larger tub, it's not going to do well either. So you have to know your animals. You have to pay attention to them. Despite having all these animals, you can point a tub and I can tell you which animal is in there. And I know that if that is feisty, if that animal is calm, gentle, if it's a good eater. So be in touch with your animals is the best thing you can do. And then after you learn the behaviors, you can tailor to the animal's needs.
Absolutely.
I
A
mean,
good point,
I think
Rocky.
I think some. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Staci. I was just saying, good points, Rafi. He doesn't make good points that often, so I was giving him a compliment.
Thank you. I needed that today.
I think sometimes people assume that like breeders don't really care about or really know their animals. And I found that to not be the case at all. I would bet that most breeders, in fact, know their animals a lot better than people realize. Like, I bet any of us, if you walk into our snake room on a feeding day, right? And if I walked into any of y'all's snake room, I bet you could tell me, oh, if you feed this one, you need to do this. If you feed this one, you need to do this. When you open that tub, watch out. When you open that tub, this is what's going to happen. Like, you know your animals. Like, you know the little tricks that they need. Like, if someone comes in and tries to feed my animals, I'm going to be right behind them going, oh, actually, you're going to need to do this with this one because they only like to eat if the rat's upside down and backwards. Like, you know.
Or you need, for this one, you need a hook to open the tub.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have two like that are just insane. So you definitely have to do that because they fly out no matter what. And then I have one that I have to drop feed a frozen pod. She won't take it from the tongs. I have to put it in her tub and walk away, and she eats every time.
I have one that kills the first one and eats the second, and she doesn't eat the first one. Like, you commit murder first, and then you have a feast over it.
It's got to work up her appetite.
It's so annoying. And I know that one, for example, most of my animals I feed weekly, especially on the breeding season. I know with that one that I have to feed bi-weekly. Otherwise, she kills both of them and she doesn't eat.
Oh, geez.
So she's very annoying. She's very slow grower, but it's her thing, and I have to work on her schedule because that's how she is. I can't just be pissed. So I'm gonna sell this animal because probably someone is not gonna take care of her properly because they're gonna get annoyed or they are wasting money. I breed my own rodents, so I don't have to worry about that. Oh, she killed that one. I mean, that's what she does, and.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
that's so wild though.
Yeah, I have some weird animals just like me.
You breed ugly snakes?
Yes.
I can't say that I've ever had a snake that killed one and then needed a second one to eat. Like, nope, I haven't had one that did that. That one's new.
And it's
Well, you're gonna have to try harder, Staci. When they kill the first
I know,
one and leave it, you got to put a second one in there.
I need to do better.
It's funny because at the beginning I thought, well, because what I do is I feed everyone and I pull the entire tub off just to make sure that there's no live rodent in there when I'm like done for the night. So at the beginning I thought damn, I opened the tub too fast and she got scared and she didn't eat. So I started like waiting for hour and a half. Like after I finished everything, she's the last tub that I would check. And then there was like rigor mortis, like that rodent was like stiff and bad. And I was like, damn it. And then I would throw another one just to see, right? And she'll eat it. And I was like, and she always does that. She always does that. I don't know what's the deal with her. I changed the prey, changed the size of the prey. She just liked the thrill of the kill.
I guess so.
I have a couple males that are weird like that, where they'll eat ASFs like nobody's business, and all of a sudden they stop eating, and then I can't get them back on until I feed them a mouse.
Yeah, males that happen more often than not, just because, especially with the breeding and the breeding mode and stuff like that. Sometimes they feel, okay, I'm good enough, like for a while, but the mice sometimes trigger them. But they know, like different than females, that they want to eat as much as they can to put weight to breed. The males, they say, well, I have sufficient enough, and now I don't have to worry about food. And now I can focus on breeding, and that's why that happens with males more often than not.
Yeah.
I have one like 4,000 gram girl who, if you're not quick enough with the tub, she'll come out, she'll grab the rat, and because we have like the tray of rats sitting in the room, right? If you are not quick enough getting her tub closed, she'll drop the one in her mouth and come out to try and grab the tub of rats. She's insane.
Wow.
I mean, she's a good eater. She's a dumpster. If anyone else like skips a meal, you can feed her. Like, she'll just take seconds, thirds. She'll eat anything. Like, she's great.
I like food eaters.
Yeah.
Well, folks, we're an hour and 20 minutes. Staci, if you've got any closing comments, anything you would want to, any advice you want to give to a new breeder while you're here on the show?
I
catch you off guard?
Yeah, you caught me off guard. I'm like, no, I have no good advice now. Let's see. I feel like we talked about a lot of it at the beginning. If you get into breeding, do it within means that is sustainable for you, whatever that means for you. If you're a millionaire, then call me. You know, then I'll sell you whatever snakes you want. But yeah, whatever is sustainable for you. Like I always say, start slow, but that doesn't necessarily mean that has to be your journey. Sustainable for you.
That makes sense. Jamie, you got anything to add?
It's great to meet you. I'm definitely gonna look up your stuff on. I've not been on TikTok yet. Holly keeps trying to get me on TikTok. So, but you said you're on YouTube. Where can everybody find you?
Yeah, I am on YouTube as Midgard Morphs. Okay. TikTok as Midgard Morphs. Facebook as Midgard Morphs, and Instagram is Midgard.morphs, because there was another Midgard Morphs on Instagram. I don't know who it was, but if you see that person, tell them I want my name back.
Rafi, you got any closing statements? Any snide remarks?
Not excited for my trip, but really excited about the CRE on the week after. I'm going to see Jamie again.
No.
You're not coming? Not even to...
No, I don't think so, because we're vending the weekend before, and so we'll probably have to catch up. I don't think so. If we do, it'll be a total surprise and like drive down there for a day, and then come back and not stay. So we'll have to see. But right now it's a no, but it's a maybe.
No, that's a shame. I thought it was.
Yeah. Yeah, we did last minute set up to vend in North Carolina. So it's our first out of state show too. So I'm kind of need to make sure I don't forget anything, because I've been, so we'll be flying without training wheels, and then we'll see how it goes.
No, that's awesome. I never sold outside of the state, so that tell me how it went.
I will.
Yeah, I'm really excited to to be able. People are saying good things about Pomona, so I'm excited about Siri. I think the market is catching up again. Besides the cold weather that we cannot ship, so sales have to be mostly local or holding for future shipment.
For people in Idaho.
Exactly. Well, it's getting big. That's
Good. Keep feeding them. Holly, you got anything to add?
I do not. I was thrust into this because she wasn't feeling good. So.
All right. Well, once again, thanks, Staci, for coming. Thanks to all the co-hosts for hanging out with us and asking some good questions. Hope all the viewers in the chat enjoyed it. Until next time, everybody take care.
Thank y'all.